Welcome to Game of Roses. This is PaceCase.
This is BachelorClues. Just when I thought things in America couldn't get any worse.
I know.
We got this vote
I'm literally,
tonight.
my eyes are puffy from crying. I haven't cried since Jalen left.
I can't believe this. I just can't believe it.
I know.
The vote we watched last night. Look, for what it's worth, I tried to save you. Taylor, Clarke, if you're listening, I voted for you as my favorite couple because I knew something like this might happen. And I wanted you in the show. I think you were done dirty. I think you were following the rules of the game. Of all the couples we had here, you were the most for TRR, in my opinion, for the right reasons.
Truly. They have the most chemistry of any couple.
Yep.
I would have voted to save them. This is why we need ranked choice voting. If not for me believing that Huda and Chris are going to be voted out any day, and I have to save them. Right. So, but I'm really upset because they were the most 4TRR couple, had the most chemistry. Taylor was one of the most entertaining players. I'm like,
100%. What
are people voting for? Iris and Pepe?
Yeah.
I truly don't understand that. They're not even 4TRR.
Here's the thing, though. We were talking a little bit about this in Casa Gore. By the way, if you're watching this or listening to this anywhere and you're not on our Patreon, you should be. On our Patreon, PaceCase and I watch every episode of this show, of Love Island USA Season 7, and break down every play as they're happening. So please join us there for that. That is in a little segment we call Casa Gore.
We have given a lot of ourselves. This game has taken things from us this season.
Yeah.
We have now... By the way, this is our breakdown of episode 21 through 26. No, wait.
32.
26 through 32 of Love Island. Yeah. Whoopsies.
Yeah. The brains are scrambled, but I voted for them because I thought this might happen. That said, Pepe and Iris are an interesting case. I personally, just from watching them in the document, don't find them to be that entertaining. They're playing a very safe game. There's nothing out loud about anything they're doing. Yes, they're not in any drama. So I guess that, kind of makes them safe from any negative things that might be happening. They're not going to have a crash out. They're not going to get in an argument. They're not going to piss anybody else off. But it also makes for very boring play, in my opinion. That said, the fourth audience
only
rewards
interesting thing I can think about Pepe is not even about him. It's that Hannah spit on her hand to hook up with him.
Right.
And the only interesting thing I can remember about Iris is that she once said that she wanted to befriend a crow.
I remember that.
But other than that, nothing.
Other than the crow talk and the hand spitting, I agree. They're just they're there, but somehow the fourth audience keeps rewarding them. So they must be doing something right, at least in their fourth audience game. I don't know what that is exactly. I'm a member of the fourth audience, as are we all. My opinions on these things are very different. But that said, we do have these top 10 moments that we're going to get to right now that have occurred over this past week in this week's episodes. We're starting at number 10 from episode 31, the baby challenge, which led to Huda and Chris fighting because, as we saw in tonight's episode 32, Chris is not happy that he tried to go in for a PDA style kiss from Huda, and she did the glance around her shoulders to make sure nobody was watching. He takes affront to that because they are engaged in sexual congress at night under the cover of darkness, in secret, in the shadows.
At 6'8", he's not used to being a secret, I think.
Oh, nice.
And it's tough.
Served.
The baby challenge, look, the crash out challenge didn't even make it on this list. Baby challenge, to me, barely makes it on this list.
I agree.
It's one of my least favorite challenges in Love Island, even though it's a time-honored tradition at this point. We
were talking about
some
this
interesting outfit play.
Yeah.
I'm like, the pushing around the strollers doesn't do anything for me. That happens every season.
There's opportunity for a joke here in the baby name, and that's about it. We were discussing this in Casa Gore. For a challenge to be, in my opinion, entertaining, successful, necessary, it needs at least one of three possible elements. One, the outcome of the game or the action in the game has to have some impact on the psychosocial group dynamic. This means it has to enrage players at one another. It has to bring them closer together. It has to illuminate some hidden sexual chemistry between them. It has to somehow impact what they are doing with one another. 2, the outcome of the game, the mechanics of the game have to make some kind of sense. Winning the challenge must mean something. How you win it must be clearly observable to the viewing audience, us. It must make sense in some way. 3, it has to be visually interesting. Take, for example, the twerking challenge. Didn't matter who won that. There was no prize. There were no real rules of it. They were just announced who won each individual twerk off. But visually, we're all watching that.
Stunning.
Yes, nobody's looking away from that. The baby challenge has 0 of these 3 elements. There is no consequence for winning or losing. There are no clearly stated rules about how you win or lose. It did nothing to forward or retract the level of emotion, level of relationship, level of friendship with any of these players. And there was no consequence for losing. And visually, it is a snooze fest. People are literally just laying there. Huda. Yeah, with a baby on their chest.
Folding baby clothes.
I absolutely hated this challenge. Just a waste of an episode, in my opinion.
And the twerking challenge, you get TikTok spin-offs where everyone is like surprising their husband trying to do the Huda twerking thing with their legs, which are hilarious.
If I'm in the baby challenge, if I'm a player, I'm doing massive amounts of experimental play that are detrimental to the babies. I'm throwing the babies in the ocean. I'm asking for a new baby. I lost my baby. Can you help me find my baby? I'm taking your baby now to have a baby of my own because I've lost my
everyone's babies.
Yeah. I'm pretending my baby is super sick. I'm demanding that paramedics be brought in to save my baby's life. My baby has contracted a jungle illness here on the island. My baby was bitten by a poisonous spider. I'm doing all kinds of these types of things. No one here was doing it. If I'm Ace, I'm giving my baby a tattoo, probably with my baby's name across the baby's back.
Oh my God. They definitely should have done baby tattoos.
There's a lot of things that could be done here with the baby challenge. They just didn't do any of them. And part of that's on the producers. The players have the opportunity. You're always on stage. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But the producers don't hint that that's possible. They're just like, here's these babies and some strollers, and the guys do their best. They're doing the little race holding the babies, but it's just like, I don't care. There's no consequence to it. No consequence.
It's been done a million times.
Yeah.
I did shout out to the prop department. They made little baby milk bottles that had their little names with the Love Island font. That was cute.
Wasted.
Our number 9 top takeaway was the ranking challenge. While it had some issues with how they were first asking what the Islanders would vote, and then they slimed and confettied those, which I think they should have done for all of the Americas' votes. We saw Amaya win everything after she has had kind of a brutal game lately, including couple America would like to go on vacation most, her and Zach, who had just gotten in a huge fight in which she called him a very odd person and said she never wants to talk to him again. And then we saw Taylor and Ace lose everything. Every vote was the same, but it was, visually interesting. I was upset that I didn't get to vote in this because it was randomly during the day.
Yeah.
I guess I got to get my notifications on or something.
My feeling about the votes. I do participate in them when I know that they're happening. I don't know if they're accurate or not. This challenge was interesting for a few reasons. The one you brought up about Amaya and Zach winning the couple that America would most like to go on a vacation with.
Yeah.
5 minutes in the episode prior to this, they are yelling at each other. She's walking away, calling him, like you said, a very odd person that she never wants to, quote, fucking talk to again. Then they are standing on a stage hand in hand. I can't believe we won. Happy as hell. Dark Lord Maddox even says, what do you think about that? You guys seem to be having a very heated conversation before this. And they just laugh it off. This is evidence that the show is not, these relationships, they're not real. Like, yes, people can come out of this and keep dating, and maybe they are kernels of love here and there, whatever. But the primary game you're watching is a game of popularity. And they can have that conversation where she tells him, she cusses at him, calls him a very odd person, says, I never want to fucking talk to you again. 10 minutes later, she's holding his hand and laughing about winning this challenge because America loves her so much. That's the game you're watching.
This because Amaya's a professional player, and she creates a mini bachelorette for herself. And she's like, I don't know. Now I have Zach and Elan and Bryan after me. The most interesting part of this challenge, actually, is that it is a red wedding style challenge in which the 6 Islanders who are voted the lowest are up for elimination. Austin, Jaden, Andrina, Grayson, and TJ and Taylor. And all the Islanders have to stand behind one person. So we see who everyone tries to save, and everyone but Taylor goes home.
And there's a big vote moment in there where Cierra goes to stand behind Taylor. She could have gone to stand behind Andrina and at least forced a vote off, a tiebreaker situation between Andrina and Taylor. And it would have been a nice moment to see her with all the other women standing strong behind Andrina. That did not happen.
It would have. That was a missed opportunity. For me. But she's had errors out of game that turned out to be much more consequential.
That ain't no shit. We will get to those. Of course, higher up in this list. Coming in at number 8, however, is in episode 28, Chelle all eggs Ace. She basically says, I'm in this for you. He doesn't reciprocate, so they're not officially closed off, but she essentially floats out there on their little mini date that she is all eggsing him. And I thought it was an error on his part here that he didn't reciprocate immediately. He still hasn't, by the way.
Ace not immediately all eggsing Chelle back was my error of the game. Ace and Chelle are a couple I am also worried about in the votes due to this previously mentioned ranking challenge, and we got it tonight. We'll get to it, but Taylor and Clarke closing off. He has been dating Chelle so much longer. It is time. There is no other people to explore, especially once Cierra goes home and there's no couple that's closed off. There's such an opportunity to become the mommy daddy cuppy of the villa.
Mommy daddy cuppy of the villa. Do you think there's a possibility that Ace is playing a longer game here with this, that he is trying to build his close off moment to something that is not even just a closing off, but it is a marriage proposal?
0% chance. The man is 22 years old.
What does that mean? 22-year-olds can't get engaged on a reality TV show in Fiji?
I mean, I thought you were going to say it's a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. And that would be play of the week. I think if he's going to do that, he needs to do it immediately after the dumping that we just saw, because as you can see, we're voting for the finale couple tonight, or for the last couple you want to be in the finale.
I mean, he doesn't know that. And that I think is like one of the, I won't say it's a problem with the show, but I do think mechanically speaking, how the game of this show works, there are giant areas of improvement. One of them is let the players know when America's voting. That would inform how they can play. So like what we saw tonight, for example, Taylor and Clarke, he did this giant cheer. This is going to be one of our things later on this list. He put together this really nice moment to close off with her. And it's like, it didn't matter because America had already voted. If he thought that, oh shit, they're voting 2 days earlier, maybe he would have done it then. It doesn't allow the players to like get in their plays in response to knowing that a vote is coming. And I think that's a huge piece of how this game is played. Possible. But then it might seem forced or inconsequential. Like timing is everything in a game like this. In almost all the dating systems, it's really crucial when you're playing certain things in relation to when other players are playing it. But in this game specifically, in relation to when America is going to be voting on you. And they don't know when that is. They just get a text that's like, well, America voted. Here's the results. You're fucked. Why didn't even get to do anything? Couldn't give me notice.
They should have done this not the night of, but like the day after the ranking challenge, though, because they knew they were in the bottom. When you're in the bottom, you have to start making mad moves, as they say.
Yeah, that's true.
And that I would have done. And especially once Cierra leaves, because you want to give that a little space for Cierra and Nick to be the only closed off couple. And then you need to start closing off. And you know how many days are left of filming. So it's like, and
That's true.
there's pretty much always 4 couples in the finale. You've gotten down to 5. They haven't announced that there's no new bombshells, but I'm assuming that's the case. Also, because that goes along with the Nicolandria force.
Yeah.
Trying to force that to happen.
God, they're just crowbarring them together. You are a couple. Lord. You will find love. You will do this.
Consummate.
Yeah. Make it believable. Come on, cuddle her. That whole relationship to me is whatever. It's on our list. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Coming up, number 7 is in episode 30. It was the recoupling in which Elan and Zach K get dumped. This was the recoupling that happened after. God, this is higher up on our list too. But this happened immediately after Cierra gets disappeared. And so it forces together. We know Chelle and Ace are going to be a couple. We know Clarke and Taylor are going to be a couple. We know Chris and Huda. We know Iris and Pepe. We know Amaya and Bryan. And yes, indeed, Olandria and Nick are in this moment forced into official coupledom at this recoupling. And this is when you know it's like, all right, well, they're fucking jamming this down our throats. I guess we'll watch what happens. And look, they might wind up having some kind of real emotional connection and date after the show. I don't know. It would be smart if they did, at least in terms of engagement and numbers. Or
100%. There's like brands talking about Nicolandria.
Yeah.
You know, get those deals.
But this recoupling, I felt bad for Elan, not so much for Zach. I think Zach played a terrible game basically the whole season. He had massive opportunities, especially with Amaya, to couple up with her, to support her, to play that game correctly. Instead, he became part of the 3-man attack formation in the standing on business challenge that drove Amaya to tears, which then was the precursor to the conversation she has with him, where she says he's a strange man that she never wants to see again or whatever.
And he said, you also have legs to pull him to, like, just error after error with him.
And then he sees that they win the challenge together, and he's like, oh, maybe there is a chance that something could happen here. And he tries.
That's the thing with timing. Like, you can't suddenly
you can't
be like,
do it
oh,
after
actually,
the fact.
I'm super interested right after
exactly.
that.
I know I was a complete dick to you, but now that I know America loves you, so do I. Will you marry me? That doesn't work in this beloved game. But yeah, these recouplings are, at least this one to me, felt almost like it was just mathematics. We have to get 2 people out of here, and we need Nick and Olandria to be a couple.
In the same bed.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah. Our 6th top play from this week was the Taylor and Clarke all eggs one basketing. He did a beautiful, elaborate cheer routine with the help of the other guys, in which they spell out Clarke's name and in which they do this like funny little run right as everyone rejoins, where there's traditionally a cheer, like a toast. Clarke immediately all eggs him. It's a beautiful moment. Unfortunately, needed to be earlier.
Taylor's construction and execution of this group cheer to close off with Clarke was my play of the game. Not only that, during this, he talks about how their conversations are fire like a dragon, and he delivers a tongue-out, wild-eyed, eyebrow-raised look of elation that was my
face play of the game.
I cannot say enough good stuff about Taylor. I know for whatever reason the 4th audience hates his guts, apparently, and I guess it's because there's some perception that he mistreated Olandria in the whole Casa Amor and coming in with a bombshell, et cetera, et cetera. That said, this man was one of the best players this season had to offer us, I think, in terms of comedy, face play.
Best face player we had.
And he's like, please don't take for granted, 4th audience, that this man was in a massive love triangle, navigated it pretty well, I thought. Yes, Olandria had her big moment where she kind of shouted him down at the standing on business challenge or whatever. But like, he kind of navigated that correctly, at least by the rules of the game. When you go into Casa Amor, you are supposed to be open to finding a connection with someone. He found that. He came back. He was open about it with Olandria. He said, I want to explore both connections. He did that. When he was forced to say, choose one, he did that.
And it was a great dramatic moment, too.
Yes. He gave us so many of the key moments from this season. And I hate to see like the result of that is punishment. Yeah. It's like are we going to see all
players just try to copy Iris and Pepe's play style now?
That's what you should do.
What show is that?
I know. It's just people laying around, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Going to play basketball games every once in a while. I don't know. I just felt like the cheer routine to me of the closing off that we have seen. I did like Nick and Cierra's, obviously, but it was just like at a nice subdued picnic date. They had a conversation. It was great. He turns it into spectacle. He gives us the ceremony that something like this, I think, deserves. A closing off in this game, it's one of the biggest plays you can do. And he really blew it out of the water, conscripted all of the other guys to help him. I like those types of plays. And it was
a bespoke ceremony because she had done cheer.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
You're apologizing to me.
I know you're sad.
Sorry.
I'm the only one of us who produced tears.
Yeah. Your vote was the one. I would have
voted him second if I hadn't been so worried about my queen.
Yeah.
I just need to see her in every episode. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I hear you. Look, I understand that. I totally do.
Our fifth top play from the week is Huda and Chris hooked up. This turns out to be part of their drama because they then have this. This was almost my. Oh wait, was this my? No, Ace not all eggsing was my error of the week, but this was almost my error of the week. Chris bringing up. No, Chris bringing up that she wouldn't kiss in public.
Oh, right.
Be like, what's the point of having sex?
Yes. Well, I mean, look, we know that, especially in this game, but in life too, once you cross that sacred boundary of the holy union of flesh, the relationship changes. It becomes more serious. At least in the context of this game. Maybe not in real life, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Always.
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely lived my life like that. This, though, is when you do it in this game, I do think that it...
Uh-oh, I lost you.
I'm back. When you do it in this game, I do think it escalates the nature of the relationship. And I'm not saying that it puts like more pressure on you to close off or anything in this game, but it does mean that like it's a little more serious. You've taken the next step. You've hit the next level in the relationship. And it's always like an important thing. They're always talking about, in this season, they use the metaphor, the journey. We saw Amaya talking about her journey with Bryan and all of that. We'll get to that. So they're aware of it in the game as well, that's like a piece of this. Have you had sex with this person or not? And once you have, it cements you together in this way that now things are a little more serious. Your conversations carry a little more weight. I think maybe with Huda specifically, even more so because she is a mom. Oh my God, my camera. That said, this hooking up, I thought was like, it was an interesting one. The way it was revealed to us was just Chris kind of talking to some other dude saying, yeah, I folded. Meaning, I think this is what this means when he says I folded, is that she was like the aggressor in the situation and he finally acquiesced to her demands of the flesh. I don't know if that's accurate or not. That's what it seemed like to me, though.
Yeah, it's either that or an implication that like, I didn't want to have sex on TV, but got too horny.
Yeah, potentially. For sure.
It's also, it can be a marking of territory in this game of like steering off other bombshells. But yeah, always an important moment. our fourth top moment from this week was Nicolandria 2.0. The producers are going to make this couple happen if it's the last thing they do. That is what we have learned. It trended early on. There were a lot of like TikTok edits of them together and kissing and challenges and stuff. And even when they're getting dumped, they are being forced together. And here, when there's a wild situation that we will get to, they're forced back together again.
I don't understand this one. Like I said, I divert, I think, from the majority of the fourth audience in a couple of areas in this season. Mm-hmm. This is one I don't understand. I think from what I'm seeing online, the majority of the fourth audience believes this is a real couple, that they're really doing this. And as I said, maybe they can develop emotions or whatever, but I don't think it's a real couple. I think they both recognize, well, shit, I have no options now. If I want to stay on the show, I have to indulge this, whether that means completely pretending to be in it or convincing yourself like, fuck it, I can do this. Let's see, maybe there is something there, something along those lines. But it just, to me, is at least in the way they're performing it, the way it is conveyed, it is the fakest of all their relationships.
I mean, it's certainly no Taylor and Clarke, I'll say.
I agree. And by the way, I'm not even mad at the fakeness. To me, like, I watch all these games. This is pro wrestling to me. I want to see what kind of performances you can do. And right now, Nick and Olandria are being tasked with putting on a fucking performance. Make the fourth audience believe this is real. And I guess they are, because people are shipping this shit. People do think that they're really doing this.
I mean, they must have some idea that that the fourth audience is rooting for them, especially after this last vote. They know they're not in the bottom, even though they're basically a brand new couple.
Yeah.
You got to ride it out till the end. And at least I haven't seen Nick getting a lot of flack or Olandria getting a lot of flack for doing this, even though it's against whatever.
I mean, I would also say, like, I get into DM conversations sometimes with people about the game show nature of this, that there is a money prize at the end, so it must adhere to game show rules, blah, 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 right? I don't know if that's true. I know it shoots in Fiji, so I'm not sure if American game show rules apply. But generally speaking, in America, if there is a money prize, there has to be some kind of objective game system that is adhered to, that producers do not interfere in the outcome, that it is up to the players to play the game. Do they get the answers right? Do they win the challenge, et cetera, to move on? In this case, Nicolandria is a perfect example of how the producers demolish any possibility that this is an up and up game show. They were eliminated from the show, and the producers brought them back because they're just like popular players. They literally manufactured a fake situation where Olandria pulls up in the car. Come on, Nick, get in. They're acting effectively in a scripted scene. And then they are put back in the game as players. There is nothing fair about this in any capacity to any of the other players who had been voted out at that point or even beyond. By all rights, these two players lost this game and should not be playing it. And yet here they are, once again, through a manufactured scenario that is completely outside the realm of the game system itself. It's like when
I don't know game show law, but this... no part of Love Island to me follows any sort of law like that. I mean, they dumped people for not exploring in Casa when they had couples back in the main villa.
But that was left up to like player vote. That is like whatever. The producers can stand back and be like, oh, the players voted you out. They voted you out. We have no control over that. This is something completely different. Nick and Olandria literally were eliminated from the goddamn game. And then the producer said, actually, as long as you pretend to be a couple, you can keep playing the game and vie for $100,000. They haven't done that for any other couple.
Whenever favorites are eliminated, well, not whenever, but often they will be like, you're dumped. Now actually go on a date in the driveway. There's a bombshell waiting for you, or go to the Hideaway. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to any of the rules of this show.
Yeah. And
they just do what they want.
That's like Nicolandria is kind of like the personification of the unfairness of the game, in my opinion. Is this some kind of objective game where you're either getting voted out by the other islanders or by America or by losing challenges, or is it just whatever the producers want to do? And this is 100% evidence of that. So like the money prize in the end is like whatever. All of it really is like whatever to me in terms of the mechanics of it. All that said, I do love both of these players. They're like two of my favorites for sure. I think they're very good on their own and in other circumstances. Together, I'm still kind of like, I don't know. There just doesn't feel like there's anything really there to me. It feels.
Yeah, Olandria secretly kissed him. Mm-hmm. They have their little moments in the challenges of picking each other. When she was like, I'll miss calling you Nicky Poo. And he said, it's Nick for now. There's just certain bits that are like, okay, there's some true interest here, or at least it seems for TRR interest.
Yeah. My guess is after this season, they're going to, I mean, who knows what's going to happen in terms of like spin-off shows, or will they be invited into the Leah Kateb show Beyond the Villa? Will it just be like replace Leah Kateb and that whole tier of players from season 6 with the new ones from season 7? I don't know how it's all going to go. I don't know if they will be essentially forced by the circumstance of fame surrounding this franchise to maintain the semblance of a relationship or not. If they're not, I believe it will be all
of the couples are.
All the couples are forced to stay together?
Not forced, but there's a big incentive to stay together after the show.
But you could also do it as like, we found out we're better as friends. I could see them doing that, and I think they will.
We shall see.
We shall indeed.
One relationship that didn't seem fake to us at all is our number 3 top moment from the week. America's vote. The dumping of Taylor and Clarke. We've already just discussed this a lot, but to me, as a listen to your heart judge, they had the most on-screen chemistry together as they presented it. And this was a bummer, but
yeah. America dumping Taylor and Clarke was my error of the game. Very rarely will I give an error to the fourth audience, but here it is. Here we are. This season has had a lot of ground broken and new things I never thought I'd see or say, and this is one of those things. I just simply can't believe it. In my opinion, on every measurable level, from their ability as players in the game, like just take a second and think about what Clarke fucking did here in this game. Taylor and Olandria were one of the strongest couples. She is sitting there as a bombshell in her fucking hotel room watching them play and being like, fuck, what kind of game plan am I going to have here coming into Casa to try and peel this motherfucker from her? And she did it. She laid out the game plan. And she was
competing against Coco.
God, and Coco. Fuck, who could forget? Who should have been an OG in my opinion. That was a mistake, I think, on the producer's part. But to be able to do that, the level of skill you have to have in this game to come into a Casa, peel an OG from another OG, and then get him to publicly, in a big challenge, say, I choose her. This is stellar bombshell level gameplay. She is owed some respect for that. Instead, all she got was shit on by the fourth audience. Taylor, all the things we already mentioned, super funny. He's doing amazing gameplay. The cowboy shit, all of it. Fantastic. He deserves respect for that. Put them together now. These two stellar players on their own are now in this relationship that seems to both you and I the most for the right reasons of any of these relationships in here. And somehow they're punished for this. I simply don't understand it.
Physically, they're always in each other's laps, which to me is just like a good indicator of their chemistry.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get what I'm missing. Or I should say this. I don't get where I'm like diverting so drastically from the general fourth audience perception of what is happening here. I just don't see what they see in the same way, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think you and I don't see a lot of this stuff the same way as the fourth audience. And the fourth audience is really young. That's something we learned this week as well. They're really young, and 30% of people are watching the show on their phone.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, that maybe it's something to do with maybe there's a big enough part of the fourth audience for this game that isn't potentially aware of the producer manipulations, or you know what I mean? Like, doesn't really know 100%. How the shit is made, that it is a manipulation. All reality TV is. It is a lie sold to you as truth.
Yeah. I mean, Olandria was an OG. She was one of the funniest characters on the show that I think a lot of people have been rooting for, clearly. And the edit of Taylor was that he did her dirty.
Yeah.
Speaking of doing dirty, I would argue that this is actually probably the most important moment from the week, the one that I'll probably remember the most. But it's a close call. In episode 30, we had been wondering when this would happen, but they booted Cierra. We learned this via a voiceover from Ian Sterling that says Cierra has left the villa due to a personal situation, leaving Nick officially single.
Holy shit.
That was just a clip from the show.
That's from a country that doesn't exist on planet Earth, I think, whatever that accent is. I don't know. That's a fucking Martian accent. Holy shit.
We were waiting for it. We were like, what are they going to do about the situation? They have set precedent with Yulisa by saying Yulisa has left the villa really early on. But yeah, they just did that, and they don't have anyone really talk about it. Nick vaguely brings it up as like his strongest connection left, but it's like, in my mind, if I were Cierra and you're like, we're closed off, it would be like, well, why aren't you leaving with me? And I know sometimes they don't they try to really get people to not leave the show, which I could see them doing here as well. But did they even tell him the real reason? Right.
And we should discuss the real reason is because there were, I think, Instagram comments, or there were some posts she made somewhere on social media.
It was like an Instagram story about Botox.
Okay. And this is from 3 years ago, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's accurate. And she used a racial slur in these posts. So along with Yulisa, who used a racial slur in some appearances on various podcasts, there seems to be a hard line. We will not tolerate this. However, Cierra made it much further into the game than Yulisa. These things were not discovered, or at least reported on being discovered by the fourth audience until kind of later in the season. So she had been allowed to stay there. But it's also a matter of like, once it pops off with Yulisa, as producers, is it not your job to be like, fuck, maybe we should double check all these other people? They just roll with it. They don't give a fuck until it's found out.
Fourth audience will find them.
But it's like, you can't, it's just such a bad way of producing, especially like, it's a different thing if your policy is like, hey, this represents America. This is Love Island USA. These attitudes exist in America. Some of these players have them. It's up to you to figure out if you want to date that person or not. This is an experiment. We throw you in the fishbowl, the fish swim around, and that's, our hands are off. But that's not their attitude about it. Their attitude is like, as soon as we find out the things as soon as we get caught, basically, we yank them out of there quickly. And it just leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
We're not going to say why.
Exactly.
We're going to make it vague, as if it could be like a death in the family or something.
Yeah, they even said Cierra has left the villa due to a personal situation. Cierra has left the villa makes it sound like she made the choice, that something bad happened at home with a family member, a parent or something, and she's deciding to leave. That is not the case. There's even a clip now circulating on TikTok. I think it's Olandria during an ITM. She's saying something, and you can hear someone in the background, a woman, going, "You can't do this."
So cute, right? Am I tripping?
And people are arguing about, is this Amaya saying it, or is it Cierra? In either case, it seems like it might be in reference to them removing Cierra, who, as you said, at this point was in the only closed off couple. They've now eliminated.
I mean, both closed off couples. Main negative of like not catching it is then you have to scramble, and you're left with no closed off couples going into the finale. And you have eliminated pretty much everyone who could be in movie night, which is one of the fourth audience's favorite quote unquote challenges.
And now you're also in a situation with regard to Nick, who is partnerless at this point, but he has gone down this journey, or I can't say that. That's what they say to have sex. That's what they mean, what they say when they mean having sex. But he's gone down this path with Cierra where he has potentially developed real feelings. Who knows? I mean, at this point, I doubt it because he didn't seem very broken up about it at all. The idea, though, that he can just like, boom, shift on a dime. You got to get back to Olandria now. Well, I guess I have to if I want to stay in the game. Did they tell him about the posts? He also has some posts, by the way, that people are not happy about for similar kind of reasons. No slurs used, but certainly very racially insensitive at the very least. They're leaving him in the game. I think that was
when he was 16. Also,
oh right, yeah, it's older post perhaps, so maybe a little more forgivable or whatever. But certainly, the producers don't see it as him crossing the line. They've left him in the game.
Yeah, they seem to be making the line in slurs, but not saying it.
But even like the entire idea of like the show we're watching post the disappearance of Cierra is now what? Were any of these players told the real reason? Were they overtly lied to? Oh, her dad died. Did they just say she left the villa due to a personal situation, leaving Nick single? And Nick's like, but wait a minute, what's the personal situation? And they're just like, she left the villa due to a personal situation, leaving you single. No, but what is the situation? She left the villa. Like, what are they doing? You know what I mean? How are they conveying this information to the other players? And then the document we're watching, is that the other players being told, don't fucking talk about this. Just play the game. Act like it didn't happen.
We're guess at the vibes and like listen to the background of ITMs to see if anyone's screaming.
Now there's also rumor, by the way, that there was a whole sit down event where producers came out and told all the players, this is what happened. We found these posts. We have a zero tolerance policy. She cannot be in the show anymore. Sorry, Nick. That's how it goes. They all have their reactions and there's a conversation. There is a rumor that exists and they just did not air it. So that matters. That decision to not air it, if they did shoot it, matters a great deal because it means they are lying to us. The document they are presenting either ignores the true fact, purposely hides it, or directly lies about it. And all three of those options are very bad, in my opinion, in terms of generating
feels like purposely
trust.
Hiding it.
Totally. They are purposely hiding it. It's not in the fucking document. You have to go online to read about any of this. And I suspect there will be an interview with Cierra on some podcast. Some people are rumoring Nick Vial, maybe the first one to talk to her. Vial, great one. If you can get her, please, I'll watch that podcast. I'd love to hear your interview with her. But, I think the truth will be made known about how this situation was handled at some point. I don't know when. It may even be 2 or 3 seasons from now when the heat has kind of died down and the only people who really care about it or curious about it are the people like us, people in the pit, basically,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just, they've done a bad job of casting this season unless it was on purpose. And I don't think the Cierra one was probably on purpose. It does seem like this was buried kind of deep in her social media past or the Nick stuff. But like the Ulysses stuff, that shit was just like, you Google her name and it comes up.
Google her name.
The Austin stuff, same thing. It's like, I don't know. I think they were trying to do it on purpose. And it blew up in their face and now they disavow it. That's what it feels like to me. I could be wrong. Of course.
It's a real bummer since we're using this as... Well, just people use it for different reasons, but I use the show for escapism, and it's like, no, we're mired in it.
You know what the first instance of this was? Do you remember it? I know you know what it is.
On Love Island?
In reality dating systems.
Right, reality dating systems.
It was at the Women Tell All season 21 of The Bachelor. Everyone in the audience, this was leading into the 2016 election. Everyone in that audience was given red hats that said, "Make America Corinne again." Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time that I was just like, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be in this. I watch this stuff to not have this. There's enough of this on the news. And now it seems like it's kind of ever present.
I mean, that can't be the first time, but yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, speaking of escapism, what's our number one top moment from the week, Clue?
Our number one top moment of the week was episode 31 and 32. Amaya and Bryan get the first hideaway of the season. Probably the only hideaway of the season.
So there was a hideaway that was... Who was it? It was Nick and Cierra overnight with another couple, which was Chelle and someone?
No, it was when those bombshells came in, wasn't it? The two bombshells got... I want to say
and
Bryan.
Wasn't
Bryan
it Cierra?
I don't remember who it was,
No.
but it wasn't like...
Bryan came in casa. No, this was
you're right
at the beginning.
Oh, I don't even remember. I can't go back that far in my head. This thing has turned my brain to soup.
Chelle was on an awkward date, but Nick and Cierra were getting along. I want to say, fuck. No, fuck, was it? I think it was
I think
Chelle.
you're right. I don't remember.
Who did Cierra come in with?
I have no idea. It was a dude, wasn't
Amaya
it?
and Hannah came in together. Yes. Okay, so it was a guy.
Yeah. I think you're right. It was Chelle, and I forget who the guy was. I don't remember.
Completely forget who the guy was.
This is
but
the first...
Nick and Cierra were clearly hitting it off more than them.
But this is the first couple voted on by the other island, or in quotes, voted on, names said aloud, anointed.
Shouted the loudest.
You must go in. Yeah, we get the full ceremony of them dressing Amaya for her journey, as they call it, when we see one of the only good jokes so far Ian Sterling has said, when he was like, Amaya looks like she's walking down the runway for a Victoria's Secret show, and Bryan looks like he's going to get his Uber Eats food, or whatever he said, his DoorDash delivery man.
That was really good. It also resulted in my favorite song from the season so far. Eat that kitty in the hideaway. Eat that kitty in the hideaway, which everyone cheered for them. I love the ceremony.
I do too.
The spectacle.
It's very pagan.
Yeah.
And we did get the information that they went on a journey twice from Amaya the next morning, as well as the information that Bryan did indeed eat that kitty. Well played, Bryan. Well played, Amaya. I was happy to see this. I do think that there is a lot of this season specifically, because of all the shit that's happening with Cierra and Ulisa, there's a lot of fourth audience kind of ire. There's a lot of ill will toward a lot of the players this season. And so when you see something like the Hideaway, where it's just fun and they dress up for it, and now they're having their journeys and all this kind of shit, it's just like a celebration. It kind of distills down the essence of joy and pleasure, the drug-like nature of the show. It gives you just a concentrated shot of it. And I love that about this.
Amaya's back has got to be hurting from carrying all of the joy of the show on her back.
Carrying the entire show. It's her and Huda, in my opinion, are like doing the most in terms of propping up this whole season. There's a lot of players who are doing good, though. I got to say, I really like what Chelle's doing. I really like what Olandria's doing. I really like what Nick's doing, despite his, past extracurricular activity outside the lines of the game. There have been a bunch of players, I think, this season who are doing it. Taylor, I mean, he's fucking crushing it.
The way Ace ran to do Clarke's date.
Yeah.
He was just running back and forth.
The little breakfast date, he's sprinting around. I agree. But yeah, Amaya and Bryan going to the Hideaway was the number one most important thing, I believe, as it establishes them at this point as kind of like the alpha couple. And we're going to see what America's Vote says. It'll probably be Pepe and Iris, but at least in terms of the overt gameplay we're seeing, I do think that she and Bryan have kind of taken the pole position with this Hideaway jaunt.
100%. Happy for her. That standing on business challenge really was hard to watch.
I agree. She played it well.
Guys yelling at her.
She played it well. Storming off, breaking down, sobbing, I think is a big part of why she's now in the Hideaway. Those are our top 10 moments, however.
Oh, yes. Yep. What were your awards that we haven't covered?
I got my Error of the Week was American voting off Taylor and Clarke and keeping Pepe and Iris. Play of the game was Taylor's closed off cheer routine. My face play was Taylor's tongue out at the Dragonfire expression. My creature of the week was the spider that Amaya found when they were going down to the edge of the dock and commented about. Like
that
to
was
see
also
an
my creature.
Oh, nice. And all we got left is MVP. Amaya was my MVP. For all the things we mentioned, she won all these votes. She is America's favorite. She is charming the fourth audience in a way no one else is capable of doing. There are already brands making products with Amaya Papaya as the logo and shit on them. She's not even off the show yet, ladies and gentlemen. And people are turning up the promotion machine just using her name at this point. I hope they give her a cut of that cash. But yeah, she's been one of my favorite players since the beginning. She's just so funny. Her turns of phrases are great. Her energy's always at 100%. She's doing the most at all times. And I think she's being rewarded for it. Certainly with my MVP this week. Who was your MVP?
Amaya Spider was my creature. Ace Not All Eggsing with Chelle was my error of the week. Pepe asking Iris to sleep in his bed, both of them notching down, was my play of the game. Huda's claw hands when she's talking with Amaya about Chris.
I know the exact expression.
That was my face play of the week.
She also does this one sometimes.
I love
the reverse. This is like the
that's what it was. That's what it was. It was like a double wet thumb kind of.
Yeah, it's like the monster from Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It's a Guillermo del Toro monster.
Yeah, like he got a mask on.
Yeah.
And Amaya was also my MVP. For all the reasons you're saying, she does not stop delivering her isms. She is a machine. And just like a light in the darkness. Yeah. I hope she wins the whole show.
I think if she does, it doesn't matter. She's won the show. She's won the season. She is going to come out of this, I think, with the most Spawn Con deals. This woman will be worth $100 million within 3 years. Guaranteed.
Damn.
Yeah. Maybe
she
not
deserves
100.
it. She deserves it. She's carrying the show at this point. And is not as polarizing as someone else who I think has been carrying the show, Huda.
Huda's going to be an interesting one to watch. She's in the lead still in TikTok and Instagram, but only barely over Amaya. She's catching up with her for sure. And I think by the end of the season, Amaya will probably overtake her. But they're both in the 2-ish million range, a little over on both platforms. I'm
worried for Huda that she's next.
Yeah, Huda is, like you're saying, she is polarizing. And in terms of like brands wanting to, but you know what? So was Leah Kateb. And she got like Google deals and stuff when she came out of season 6. So it's like, I don't know. Are people going to give a fuck? Probably not. Huda will probably be in that same tier, making all that same money.
I feel like if there were as many people watching season 6 as there are 7, Leah would have been getting way more hate than she got. And now it's just like, I don't know. The fourth audience is just like, it's a lot.
You know what I want to see for Amaya?
Also, Amaya has no one running her social media, which
I know
people think is somehow for TRR.
Yeah, sure it is. But she still has the accounts, right? With millions of followers. She's with
videos of influencing.
Exactly. Yeah. People ain't getting it. This is what I want to see for Amaya when she comes off the show. I want to see her be the star of a Pee-wee's Playhouse style show where it's just her on a set interacting with puppets. That, for some reason to me, would be it'd be my favorite show on TV.
Puppets.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. You've never seen fucking Pee-wee's Playhouse?
It sounds creepy.
Do you know who Pee-wee Herman is?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What?
Pale man, squeaky voice.
Pale man with a squeaky voice. He essentially launched Tim Burton's career. Do you know who Tim Burton is? The director? Okay. So
Big
he directed.
Fish.
He did do Big Fish. That's not like probably one of his most popular movies, but he's known for Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare Before Christmas, blah, 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 a bunch of shit. But he did.
I hated Nightmare Before Christmas. That gave me nightmares.
Before Christmas? See what I did there?
Yeah.
He started kind of doing Pee-wee's stuff, though. He did Pee-wee's first movie. At any rate, Paul Reubens is a genius comedic actor who created this very weird, beloved character called Pee Wee Herman. And he had a Saturday morning show called Pee Wee's Playhouse that was him in this, like his living room of his house, basically. And he would have weird kids show type guests come visit him. But like all the shit in his apartment, like the chair, the TV, they would talk. They were like creatures, that he would talk to.
Like Blue's Clues.
Kind of, but it's a little more surreal. And there's like a darker vibe to Pee-wee that I always found interesting and funny. I could see Amaya Papaya doing that type of a show. I think she'd be great
at like a children's show.
Yeah, I agree.
But also great at an adult show talking about shaving her ass crack and stuff.
How could I forget she said that? She had to shave her ass crack. She's great.
She just gives and gives and gives. Unrelenting.
I know.
Like compare that to Iris and Pepe. Come on.
I agree. Look, you're preaching to the choir. I don't get the Iris and Pepe thing. I don't get it. I just don't in the get comments. It. Yeah.
Explain like we're 5.
Please change my mind. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Explain Pyrus like we're 5.
Pyrus is what they're being called?
That's what I'm calling them.
Yeah, I think that's the best one. Irepe doesn't really work. I think Pyrus is it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this breakdown of the top 10 moments that we witnessed over the past week of Love Island USA Season 7. We have one more week of this, right? Sunday is the finale, I believe.
The finale.
I think.
Casting for the next season is happening now, by the way. If there's any extreme talent out there, reach out to Bachelor Clues. His DMs are open.
Yeah. And let it be known that I'm trying to put together a team to go in and dominate. Let that be known.
It would be the best. There's no show that needs that your second audience game is as important as this one.
Absolutely. Basically what I'm trying to do, if you're in the casting process and they are reaching out to you, hit me up. If you know anybody who has a friend that is in that casting process and they're reaching out to you, hit me up. My goal is to have trained at least 80% of the entire cast of next season so that we can put on the best show that has ever been created in the history of this reality television. What are you looking for?
Pageant queens, cheerleaders? What do you think is the ideal candidate?
It really boils down to like individual play style. I don't think there's like a specific background or anything like that. Like you can be a pageant queen. You don't have to be. You can be a cheerleader. You don't have to be. You can kind of be anything. Love Island's a different
quirky job does work.
Yeah.
Rodeo.
Quirky job. Exactly. You're seeing it with Taylor. Like you can there's some leeway there. The main thing that you need, in my opinion, is you got to be willing to play this damn game. You got to be ready to go in there and do some shit. Really blow things up. You need to be able to have breakdowns or what you call it? Crash out. You need to be able to do a crash out. You need to be able to tell somebody, go fuck yourself. You need to be able to make out, fall in love, go on journeys. You need to be ready to do all of that in a 4-week period, basically.
And restart your social media.
Yeah, please don't hit me up if you've got any problematic shit in your past. Please don't do that. Yeah, please make sure you got a clean Instagram. But yeah, I'm taking applications. I'm talking to some people currently, not only for this, but also for Bachelor 30. I think Bachelor 30, in terms of coaching, is going to be maybe the most interesting season other than the first one I ever did, because I had, through all the past seasons that I've coached for, I had like a very good idea, like diagram of the hierarchy of the producers, which producers were mean, which ones did you not want to talk to, which ones meant it was good if you were talking to, all that shit. They're all gone. They got wiped out in this last catastrophic mass firing. And so now it's Scott Teddy. Scott Teddy, if you're listening, I'm going to have some players for you and you ain't going to know who they are, but they're coming in and they're coming in hot. But it's going to be fun, I think, to get a whole new slate, fresh, clean slate of producers.
Oh, I'm so much more excited for The Bachelor now that I've seen the first BIP episode.
Yeah, me too.
We'll be back with Kazagor Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Not Saturday.
Love Island. Not Saturday. And our next BIP breakdown.
Does that mean there's only 3 more episodes? Thursday, Friday, Sunday? That's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there ain't no movie night. Like, that's pretty much a guarantee.
Movie night's gone.
Oh my God.
They said, do the babies instead.
Yeah,
Great
that was
idea.
fun.
I saw a bunch of people saying it was their favorite episode. I was like, huh?
I'll also just put out this call. Anybody in the Love Island producing pantheon, if you need an extra producer, let me know. Let me help you, please.
I might know someone you can talk to. Praise be Dark Lord Maddox.
Please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast. Please get a friend to listen to us. And then please rate this podcast. Please review this podcast.